family, welcome back to my channel. My name is Angie from Simply Angel Tier. If you're new to my channel, you will see that I haven't actually been doing videos on YouTube for too long. It's been about 2 months, and I've been crocheting things like top, maybe small projects here and there. And I've noticed that a lot of people are asking if I could do things that are more basic, and this is pretty much why I've decided to do this. So I'm going to start a series pretty much kind of going back to the basics, and this is going to be to show people how to do basic stitches. That way, if you're a beginner in crochet, you know what to do, you know what stitches you can use to make your I guess projects, and you're not struggling too much to understand how to do a certain stitch, because in many big projects there's a combination of different stitches all over the project, and if you're new to crocheting, you're not going to be able to keep up with all of that. And I've seen a lot of videos on YouTube doing that, where it's combining different stitches to create the project, and they're beautiful projects, but it's more for intermediate to advanced people. So I've decided it's probably best if I could kind of take you guys back to the basics. That way, if you're learning, you're not missing out. You can go back, take your time, watch how to do simple basic stitches first, and then eventually you will catch up and be able to do more complex designs. Okay, the one thing I wanted to show you guys really quickly is I just got this book from Amazon a couple of weeks ago. It's called the Crochet Bible, or the Crochet Stitch Bible by Betty Barden, and it's a nice book. It's actually really good, and it has over 200 crochet stitches explained in this book. But the only issue I have with it is I've realized I am more of a practical person. I learn more if somebody shows me how to do it than reading how to do it. So as you can see here, they have some really nice designs. I'll just kind of flip to some random page again so you guys can see. Like, look at that. That's a beautiful stitch there. But the way you learn is all of these little writings here. Oh, I wish my camera was more focused than that. It's literally telling you what to do on every row, but it uses crochet lingo like DC and CH, which is double crochet, and things like that. And if you're new to crochet or you're just learning, this is going to sound like gibberish to you. I'm going to use this book for references because it does have some beautiful, like you can see on the front page there, it has some beautiful stitches. But I don't think anybody who is new is going to be able to really follow along with this. But if you do want it and you want to learn like this, and it's your thing to learn like this, get it from Amazon. I think it's about 20 bucks. I don't remember, about 20 bucks Canadian or so. So that's about that. The other thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is a yarn. When you're new crochet, what I did at the beginning was I thought I could go and grab a small size yarn, a large, a chunky, a thin, and blah 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 blah, and then I did not know what to do with it later on. But this is what I've learned, at least, and may not work for you, but for me, at some point I decided I will just buy the same size yarn, and in this case here it's usually about a medium. So if you look at this area here, I'm sorry, I'm not really showing this properly, but if you buy your yarn, your label will have all the details you need. So for this one here, you literally have how long it is, what is the weight of it, the recommended crochet hook is 5mm crochet hook, whether it's acrylic or cotton or polyester, the color, like it has all information that you need on this label that they use to wrap up the yarn. So my recommendation for you is try to stick with something that is a medium size, and it's pretty much that kind of size here, and it's gonna work better for you to just continue to learn using the same size yarn, because if you keep changing it from a medium to a small to a large, it does give you a different consistency when you do crochet. So keep in mind, I think it's just best if you get the same size. The other thing is, for your crochet hook, it's kind of the same rule applies. Don't go buying all types of sizes of crochet hook at the beginning, at least, because you will not probably learn better if you keep switching between all of them. So for me, when I became serious, and I'm a self-taught crocheter, when I became serious with really wanting to learn how to do crochet, I decided to just grab a 5mm crochet hook, and that's what I used for most of my learning, the same as the size of yarn, which is about a medium. Now you can also go down to like a 4.5mm crochet hook or a 5.5mm crochet hook. They're kind of like almost about the same size, except obviously, as you can see, this is a small one in the middle, which is a 5, and then a 5.5. Okay, so that's another tip that I have for you there. And then of course, make sure you always have your scissors, because it's good to make sure your work at the end is not looking neat by cutting off your strands. Or you can get, I don't have one handy right now, but you can get a darning needle that you can use to weave in your ends at the end of your project. So without any further ado, I'm going to start my first how-to video, and this is going to be how to do a single crochet stitch. So stay tuned, and in the future I'm going to be doing more videos. I'll probably label it by, you know, like saying, you know, part 1, part 2, part 3, or episode 1, episode 2, episode 3. That way you can go, if you're not interested to looking at other videos on my channel, you can go straight to those ones and see which one I did first, second, third, fourth, and so on and so forth. So stay tuned, and I will see you guys in a bit. So get your material ready. If you have your crochet yarn, your crochet hook, your scissors, whatever, anything you need to start this, get it ready, and then I will see you guys in a second. Okay. Hi guys, so to get started, I have these two things that I will use today to show you guys how to do this basic single crochet stitch. Okay, so because this is just a how-to video, it's a very basic one. We're not doing any design particularly today, but just showing you guys how to do the stitch. And I'm going to be using this scrap yarn that I've had laying around as well. I'm going to be using this 4.5mm crochet hook. But quickly before we get started, I wanted to show you guys, especially if you're a beginner, just how to read some of the information that you will see on the label of your yarn when you buy it from the store. Usually they're very good to have a label on it that shows you how long the yarn that you're buying is and what the weight of it is. For example, you will see here that it's a medium. You will see that it requires a 5mm crochet hook to do a project using this yarn. And it's not by any means to say that you have to follow this, but it's recommended. So this is a recommended crochet hook size that you should be using. As well, just a little bit more details here, how to take care of your garment after you finish making it, as well the color, and more information about the crochet hook and things like that. Okay, so this is just to show you guys who are beginners how you can read, especially this is important because you want to know what crochet hook to use when you're using this yarn in particular. Not that you must do that, but it's something, if you're not sure at the beginning, make sure you use the one that's recommended on the yarn. Okay, all right, so let's get started. So like I said, this is going to be to show you how to do a single crochet stitch. Okay, so it's going to be a very quick video, and it's just a how-to, and it's easy, and if you're new, it's probably going to be useful for you. I'm a self-taught crocheter, so I didn't have somebody showing me that, but I am happy to show you guys how to do it. So the first thing that you do with almost every crochet project is to do a slip knot. Okay, and you will see a lot of tutorials, a lot of crocheters who do it different. So I'm going to be showing you how I do mine. So for me, first of all, as you have noticed, I kind of loop my yarn around my finger like that. This is how I learned from the beginning, and it's how I learned to be able to control my yarn, because otherwise you will see a lot of people who just kind of hold it something. I cannot even pretend to show you guys how to do it, but like there's people who just hold it very somehow like that. I don't know how to do that. I never really understood how to do that, so I just ended up coming with my own I guess technique on how to control the yarn and how to make sure that it's not going to make my work too loose or too tight. And this is the way that I found that I could control it better. Okay, you will always have to leave a little bit of a tail at the end of your yarn like that, and if you're planning to weave in this end at the end, it's best to leave this tail to be a little bit longer. So I will just do a quick tutorial on this, but it's not going to be something that I'm going to end up weaving in at the end. Okay, so let's get started with doing a slip knot. This is how I do it. I hold after I have my yarn on my finger like that. Okay, I flip my hand over like this so my palm is facing you, and then I take this finger here, my middle finger and my thumb, and I hold the yarn in the middle like this. And then I take the tail with my right hand, I'm right-handed by the way, and then I loop it around so that there's this X at the end of my thumb here, and I hold it tight with my middle finger. I take my other two fingers and I slide these off while I'm still holding the yarn like this, so my X is still between my two fingers like that. And then I take my crochet hook, I put it through that hole there, that circle, and then I use my hook to bring the yarn over. So I just go underneath this guitar string looking thing here, okay, while I'm holding my crochet hook and the hook is facing me, and then I go and I bring it back up like this, and then I pull it back through the loop. Okay, then when I have it like this, I let go of what I'm holding and I just pull. That is how I do my slip knot. It may be different from how everybody's doing it, so if you learn how to do it this way, that's okay. If you learn how to do it any other way, that's okay, but you will always start your project with a slip knot like this. Okay, and then the other important thing that you will need to know when you're doing crochet is to do chains. And to do a chain while you still have your hook in that little space like this. So this is again because I'm used to doing it like this. Okay, this is going to continue to be how I work my my projects. Okay, so I'm going to use my hook like this while I'm holding the string that is hanging. I'm holding it with all of my 4 fingers. Okay, like this on my left hand, and then I'm holding my crochet hook with my right hand. And then I'm going to go in like this, loop yarn over the hook like that, bring it through the space, and that's the first chain right here. So you will see it has like that V shape. Okay, and then I continue to do it and I put it through. That's 2 chains, that's 3 chains. Okay, and as my chain grows, I will keep moving my fingers close to the where my last chain is, because it helped me hold it and control it. Okay, and then I will continue to do the same thing, so you will see here just like that. Okay, like that, and this is pretty much how you do your chain stitch. And this is a foundation to almost all projects you're going to be doing in crochet. Okay, so this is how your chain is going to look like. This is the front of it. Let me just put this hook down. This is the front of it here, as you will see. Okay, it has these V shapes around it or along it. This is the front of it. If you flip it to the back, it has these bumpy areas in the back of it. Okay, so this is the front, this is the back. And you will often find that you're working a lot with the front of the chain. Okay, so we'll just continue to do more chains here, and for the sake of this tutorial, I'm not going to be counting the chains. In most of your projects, you will probably end up having to count your chains because your project is going to need to be neat and equal. Okay, but because this is just showing you guys how to do a small tutorial on how to do single crochets, and in this case I guess the chain stitch as well. Okay, I'm going to stop here. So this is, I would probably guess about 30 chains or maybe a little bit less, but I'm going to stop here so I can go ahead and show you guys how to do single crochets. Okay, so when you have your foundation chain completed like this, then you still, in my case here, while I still have this yarn wrapped around my finger like that, I still use all of my fingers to hold my chain like this. Okay, and as you will see here, this is not a chain. We don't count this as a chain. This is just the yarn that you stopped after doing the last chain. So this is the last chain here. This is your second. Okay, So you will see it's going to be impossible to work in this space here because this is where this loop is coming through. So if you were to put your crochet hook through here to do anything, it's almost impossible because look at it like this. If you go through here, you're just undoing it. It just goes like that. Don't know if you saw that, but look at it. If you were to try and do anything between, like into this here, especially a single crochet, you can't, because if you go like this, it just looks like that. Okay, so we're not going to work in this chain here, and it's very rare that you will work in this first chain here. So usually it's the second, third, fourth, or however many, depending on the design that you're doing. Okay, so for the sake of doing this single crochet stitch, we're going to be going in the second chain here. So not this, but this one here, this one. Okay, so we'll go ahead. So to do a single crochet, you're going to hold, and I will use my fingers, this middle finger and my thumb again. These two fingers become very useful in crochet for me. I will hold the space where I'm going to be going into, okay, and then I'll bring, while I have this loop around my my hook like this, I'm going to be going right into that space here, okay. And a lot of people will be using this first, they just take the first loop, but you may encounter people who go through two loops as well, like this, like who go through from this bottom so that you have these two spaces on top of the hook. But most people, especially when they're just working with the foundation chain, will be going on just the top only. Okay, so in this case, we're going to be going on just the top only, which is this here, right, like that. And you're going to yarn over, pull it through. You have two loops on the hook, yarn over, go through both. Okay, so it looks something like that. Let's repeat that again. So you're going to go, you're not yarning over before you go through the loop. You're just going to go right straight into that chain space. You're going to bring it back, and when you have your two loops on the hook, you're going to yarn over and then pull it through both like that. Okay, so this is pretty much your single crochet. So this is the first row. So usually this is called a foundation chain, and then the second row that you take is usually your first row. Okay, so as you will see here, I hope you guys are seeing this clearly, and I hope I'm not too fast or too slow for those of you who are maybe a little bit advanced, but I'm trying to target people who are trying to learn how to crochet from the beginning. So I am going to explain everything thoroughly. It's better to be thorough than not, I guess. Okay, so this is pretty much how you continue to do your single crochet. Okay, so as you can see, this is how your single crochet is going to look. Okay, this is the back, like that. This is the front. Okay, so it looks pretty neat, and you will see the top of it. It still has those V's that you have from the chain as well. And you will see this V with almost like the single crochet, double crochet, half double crochets, all of those will create this V on top of your work. Okay, which makes it easy when you're going to continue working on top of them, because you can easily go either through both, through one, the back only, or you can go through the front only. But it's very clear and easy to identify where to go when you see those V shapes up there like that. Okay, so you'll continue to do in any project. If you're just working and only using a single crochet, you'll continue to do these single crochets all across your chain, across your foundation chain here. Okay, so go ahead and try to do this. Try to do the single crochets across your foundation chain. And again, if this is too fast for you, just rewind the video, go back to the beginning, look at it again. This is not something that I expect if you're a learner that you're gonna learn for the first, in the first try. I'm sure some of you will, but if you can't, it's not something that you need to be worried about. It took me forever to learn how to crochet. And like I said, I'm a self-taught crocheter. I think I took a class when I was in elementary on how to do crafts and things like that, and crochet was a component of it, but I don't think I paid much attention in that class, to be honest. But it was something I was always interested in doing, and when I became serious about crocheting, I started to do a lot of teaching myself how to do it. So anyways, this is how your first row of single crochet looks like. So as you can see here, it's very neat and tight, and it's one of the chains that are this tight beside a slip stitch, which I will do in another video. I'll show you guys how to do a slip stitch, and if you're to do a project with it, then how that goes. Okay, so anyways, so because we're doing single crochet stitch here, we're going to continue. Okay, now at the end of my foundation chain, just one thing here. So this here is your last chain, and always make sure you go into that last chain, because if you're to stop here, then there's just this thing hanging here. Okay, so you want to always make sure you go into that final chain at the back here. Okay, and when you have that, we're going to do a chain one. So this the same way we did the chains from the beginning, you just go over and loop and put it through. In this case here, we're just doing one. You turn your work around like this to the back of your work, and then we're going to go, let me show you now. This is what I was talking about earlier with the V shape. So you see these V spaces here? We're going to be working with this by going through these two loops here. Okay? All of these, we're going to be going through both of them. I will be doing more how-to videos that will show you how to do, how the work would look like if you just go through the front loop, if you just go through the back loop. Okay, but this one is going to be if you're to go through between both loops. And for this work here, we're going to be going straight into the very first one here. Okay, so you don't yarn over because it's a single crochet. You just go straight into the loop here, which is your V is right there, and then you bring your yarn through, and then you yarn over and you go through your two loops just like that. Okay, and you will do the same all along the first row that you completed. Okay, so as you will see, the good thing with crochet is there's a space. Each and every of these spaces here is where you're going through. Here, and so on and so forth. That's where you're going into with your crochet hook and pulling the yarn through, and then pulling through the two loops on the hook. So go ahead and continue to do this to the end of this. When you get right here and there's just this one final V shape right here left, stop there. Stop when you're done this one right before this one, and I'll show you how to do something a tiny bit different there. So go ahead and do this. I will see you guys at the end. Okay, so I am at the end of row 2. So like I said, when you're at this very last space left to stop here, because I want to show you guys something different. Actually, you know what, it's not that different at all, but we're going to be going into this final one as well, because it's very common to not see that there's one more left at the end here and stopping here. and if you're to stop right here, then there's just this tiny tail that's hanging there. Okay, so usually what I do is I make sure I pull the chain from the back high up, and this I can even use my crochet hook to kind of make that space available for me before I go in with the hook. Okay, and then we'll go through, and then we'll bring it back and pull it through the 2 loops on the hook. Okay, so you want to make sure that you're doing the very final chain here as well. Okay, now that you have that, you're going to go into your row 3 and you're going to chain 1. Okay, turn your work over like this, turn around, I guess, or over, I don't know how you say that, but you turn it so that the front is facing you again. Okay, and then you continue to do what you did in the previous row, which is to just go through both the V shape here, go through both of those loops, yarn over and yarn over, and go through the both loops on the hook, just like so. Okay, so you'll continue to do this. Okay, and this is pretty much what a single crochet stitch is, you guys. There's nothing else to add to that. But what I will do is I will go and offline work and make this a little bit of a larger work so that you see how it looks like in more details. But this is pretty much it. So if you're doing, let's say, a scarf or whatever project that you're doing just using the single crochet stitch, this is what you're going to end up with at the end. It's going to look like that. It's nice and tight. It's not too gappy, which is usually something that you need if you're making, let's say, a sweater or a top or something that you don't want to have to be too revealing. You would usually use this stitch or a slip stitch. But anyways, I would say go ahead and continue to work as many rows as you want. Don't forget to go into the very last stitch at the end here, and then chain 1, turn your work around, go back to this end, and just repeat. So you're just going to continue to do this all the way until you accomplish your... Okay guys, so this is where I stopped. As you can see, I have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I have 12 rows of this single crochet here. So this is pretty much where I will stop. I just wanted to quickly show you guys how your project will look if you just did repeats of single crochet. So as you can see here, and actually one more tip, the fact that I used a 4.5 millimeter crochet hooks usually will make your work a little tighter. So a tip is, the larger your crochet hook, the looser your work. The smaller the crochet hook, the tighter your work will be. Okay, so as you can see here, this work is pretty consistent, and that's another key when you crochet, is to make sure your work is consistent. It's not loose in some parts and it's not tight in some parts, and that will come with practice. So don't be too hard on yourself if you do see your work having inconsistency in terms of the tightness. It just eventually comes with practice. But this is pretty much how a single crochet looks like. And if you're to do a blanket or a scarf or a tablecloth or table mat, whatever you're making with this stitch, and it's just pretty much a repeat of the same thing over and over, this is how your work will end up being at the end. Okay, so I will stop this here. My next video, I'm going to show you guys how to do a single crochet, but you have you go just through the back loop or just the front loop, and I think I'll do that as my next video because it does change how your work looks drastically. Okay, so stay tuned. If you're new, subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any videos, and I will see you guys in my next video when I do a single crochet but only going through the back loop and or the front loop. Okay, I will see you guys later. Enjoy your day, and see you in the next video.